Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel, and happy Wednesday evening to you all. And I'm back after a decent amount of time away. I'm back. I'm in a different place in terms of I've moved. I've changed jobs. I've moved. I've been working 14-hour days, so I'm back. And obviously Spurs play tonight. More importantly, less about me, more about Tottenham. Spurs play tonight, winning at home versus Doncaster in the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. Third round for Carabao Cup, apologies. Obviously, the fourth round coming up in terms of where we're going there. But obviously, Spurs winning 3-0. Obviously, Jono getting the last second goal pretty much. But, all in all, it's with these sort of games, with the rotation that you go through, it's always a bit weird to sort of expect certain levels of football and things like that. I was a bit surprised by the team, if I'm honest. I expected actually a little bit more rotation, but then we sort of think about it. Kinski doesn't start, Danso doesn't start, Paulinho's playing in a different position, Gray doesn't start, Jono doesn't start, Tell doesn't start, Odegaard doesn't start. So, in reality, you're playing three guys in their actual position that start a week. Three guys, yeah. Three guys that start week in, week out in actual positions, a fourth including Paulinho. Four guys, sorry, including Spence. Long day. But you know what? We're through. That's the big thing with cup games is always getting through. And I get it that you're playing a team in League One and, you want to be out there winning 6, 7, 8-0 and that'll be great. But with cup games, the biggest thing about cup games is just winning. That's the biggest thing. I've always said it when, we win the Europa League last season. The biggest thing was, did we win the game? Yes. The job then is done. That's the key thing here. So look, Paulinho scoring a bicycle kick in the 14th minute, a bit mental if I'm honest. Obviously I've been away a little bit, so for the people that have been asking where I am and things like that, and look, it's not because I'm hiding, because Paulinho's been a good signing so far, and Kudus has been fantastic. Not at all just because I've been busy, but they've both been brilliant. And Paulinho playing out of position today, he was solid. He was solid. Him and Big Kev Danso. We love Big Kev Danso. He was solid as well. Kinski obviously makes a wonderful save off that sort of scissor kick volley. Absolutely incredible save. He didn't really do much all game, to be honest. Obviously, Spence looked pretty solid defensively. Obviously, he's probably one of the best defensive fullbacks in the Premier League. Looked very, very solid. Pedro doing what Pedro does. Absolute offensive juggernaut, but had a really good game today. Did get booked, but it is what it is. Midfield three, obviously Bentancur had just a solid game, just ticking things over. I thought Archie Gray looked good, got forward a lot, got into some good positions. I think as time goes by, he will get more confident on certain things. He will get better. I have all the faith in the world that he will. For Xavi Simons, to go from Morgan Gibbs-White, to go from him to Eze, and then winding up with the best option of them all, it's brilliant. And we've seen already this season with Xavi Simons how good he's going to be. This game was evidence of that. I thought the front three, look, I think Tell on another day probably has about 4 or 5 goals. Shooting boots weren't on. He worked hard. Link-up play was good. I think a lot of Spurs fans will kill him. He didn't play that badly. Okay, yes, it's League One. He probably should do more, but his confidence is probably not the best right now. I thought he was solid. I'm going to say, stay on the side of get behind a player when he's struggling in form and confidence, Odegaard looked lively, looked solid. Again, it's one of those ones probably a little bit lacking in confidence. I think he will get better as well. And obviously Jono, happy for Jono to get the goal, to get a score sheet as well. Obviously, the own goal was the second goal, but the game was over by that point. The second goal goes in, the game's over. But Jono scoring in the last minute, obviously really, really good. But the fact that you're getting Romero with rest, you're getting Mickey van der Ven with rest, you're getting Kudus having rest. It's big things for this season already. I think it's going to be important, Pape, and Lucas ticking over. Obviously, Destiny Doggy's only just come back from injury. Him getting more minutes is important as well. Richie coming off the bench, continue ticking over the minutes. Obviously, it was great to see Luca Williams, Barnett come off the bench. So happy days on that front. So all in all, a solid outing. Obviously, the draw won't be now for, I think it's like another sort of 40 minutes from this. So on Twitter, if you're seeing this on Twitter, I've probably already responded to the fact that the draw's come out or what have you. But all in all, you're through into the fourth round. We'll obviously see who we get in the fourth round, but the Frank train continues. You know, it was a solid performance. It's been a solid start to the season. Obviously, wow, who do Spurs play this weekend? You know, at home to Wolves. Wolves obviously a team that is super struggling at the moment. And then you're back into the match day 2 of the Champions League where we play away to Bodo Glimt. And, you know, so the games come thick and fast. And, you know, players like Kudus and Romero and Mickey all getting good amounts of rest is important. You know, we just need to be getting, players like Slanky back and things like that. But it's important these players get the rest. We're going to need them in the long run. And, these sort of the games that you should get by with rotation. And coming at the weekend, we got Wolves, who, look, the bottom of the table, haven't picked up a point. It's a game that you should be going out there and winning. It's important to keep the momentum up. So we look forward to that. I look forward to the Wolves game at the weekend. I may be able to catch some of it. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to it regardless. And it's been a good start to the season. Another win tonight. Happy days. Still in all competitions. You know what I mean? So there you go. Anyway, thanks very much for joining. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be speaking Spurs with you all again. And I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. Talk a lot more about Tottenham. Take care, everyone. Peace.